Since you probably have time over this winter break, here are 6 Age of Sigmar stories I think you'll find a lot of fun with. For fans of the world that was, the audio drama Realmslayer is an excellent story about how Gottfried Gurnisson found his way into the realm of Akshi after his fate in the end times. It provides the perspective of someone from the old world learning about this new existence in a familiar but foreign land. And if you love it, there are plenty of audiobooks, novels, and short stories following Gottfried facing specific factions across the Age of Sigmar. If you're looking for something that focuses on chaos, Plague Garden is the absolute coolest story. It follows the story of the Hollowed Knights venturing into Nurgle's Plague Garden while battling the Grandfather Pestilence's demons and his unique knights from the Order of the Fly. This Nurgle-focused army is really interesting and full of a twisted code of chivalry. The story itself feels a lot like the Odyssey. I personally really enjoy short stories in Age of Sigmar since I read them aloud to my wife for an hour or so, and we both just geek out over it. One story that we found that we really enjoyed was Prince Meza. There's a compilation of the short stories available, but if you want to dip your toes into the story slowly, it's something like $4. It follows the story of an elfin prince who was exiled by his people for loving a human woman. Perishing ages ago, he's on a quest to bring her entirely back to life. On his journey, he is accompanied by a malevolent forest sprite that Meza is trying to teach not to be vile. Story is interesting, and he enters a lot of places marked by the influence of Nagash. For stories that are jumping points into major events, you should read Soul Wars. It goes over the Sacrosanct Chamber of Stormcast and their current dealings in the realm of Siesh as Nagash completes his botched necroquake and wages open war against the living. It gives you the perspective of people living in the realm of death, the many personalities that make up Nagash's commanders, and the boiling and bitter relationship between Sigmar and Nagash. For something that goes over a horrible fate that befalls many different factions and short stories, you have to read Harrowdeep. That was probably one of the most enjoyable reads I've had with an Age of Sigmar story. It's 3 short stories. One that goes over a feud between rival Scourge privateers in Misthaven over open water, which takes a turn in an awful direction real quick when the Idonists suddenly appear to reap their souls, only for another major twist to occur and plunge all these enemies into a new eldritch nightmare. Another story follows the devoted zealots of Sigmar who found their way into Harrowdeep when pursuing a warband of Khorne followers led by a traitorous slaughter priest. The description of how Khorne's followers rile each other up and their enemies is metal as hell. Then, you have an awesome story about a Stormcast warband that is preyed upon by the menacing Cruel Boys in a labyrinth that refuses to let death settle arguments. Each of these stories is amazing and I can't recommend them enough. And finally, my favorite novel, Gloomspite. You need to check this book out. It follows the day in the life in the mortal realms as a group of mercenaries come to a city with a warning of a foreboding vision their leader had. Unlike most Age of Sigmar novels where the shit hits the fan at the end of the story, this story is nearly non-stop once that vision becomes a reality. The struggle of the mercenaries to survive this unwavering apocalypse is a blast to read. If any of you have any recommended Age of Sigmar reading, let me know in the comments. Happy holidays!